Yo, what is up guys, this is Squirrel here, and today I'll be ranking all of the chargers currently in Splatoon 2. Now, before we get started, I'd like to clarify that for the sake of this video, I combined all the scopes with their unscoped counterparts, simply because they weren't different enough in my view to warrant another spot, and they all ended up being right next to each other anyways. But without further ado, let's jump right in. Number 13, Custom E-Liter 4K and Custom E-Liter 4K Scope. One, or should I say two, of these weapons had to be last, and that role fell to the Custom E-Liter 4K. This weapon is extremely slow, and the additional range is barely worth it. It lacks mobility and speed, and in my experience, I get more kills tap-shotting with it than actually charging up full shots and firing them. I also hate squid beacons on weapons like this, because generally it only takes a second or two longer to just swim to whatever sniping perch you're on, and the beacons can easily be destroyed as well. And why is there bubble blower on this? Perhaps I just dislike being a supporting member of my team instead of a slayer, but there's a reason I made a video about how much I hate this weapon. Number 12, the Custom Goo Tuber. Oh geez, not the Custom Goo Tuber. This weapon's charge speed is nearly as slow as the E-Liters, and wouldn't you know, it has even less range than the basic Splat charger and its variants. The only redeeming factor of this weapon is the absolutely insane amount of time that can hold its charge in ink. The curling bomb on it does provide needed mobility, I'll give it that, but any weapon that has inkjet and doesn't even have a chance of defending itself once it lands back down doesn't impress me very much. While this weapon can provide some surprising and fun moments, it's easily outplayed by pretty much any other charger on this list, and most weapons in general, hence its number 12 ranking. Number 11. The Goo Tuber. If there are any Goo Tuber fans watching, sorry guys, but these weapons aren't good for much other than memeing. However, I'll give it this, the original Goo Tuber has a much better set than the custom one, and it's the only charger that has splashdown, which I feel like more chargers need as it allows for a panic attack you can do if you're in trouble. I typically don't like suction bombs as opposed to splat or burst bombs, but in this case they help the Goo Tuber ink more space as it has a really slow charge rate. But is it enough to get into the top 10? No, I don't think it is. Number 10, E-Liter 4K and the E-Liter 4K Scope. As previously stated, I really just don't like the E-Liters. The only reason that the E-Liter made it to the top 10 on this list was because its sub and special are actually very good defensively, which is what this weapon is good at. However, there are still flaws in this weapon I just can't get over. There's a fine line between powerful but slow and simply unusable. Number 9, the classic Swiffer. Ah yes, the Swiffer. Essentially just a faster but lower range version of the Splat charger, the Swiffer is balanced relatively nicely. However, I just don't understand the kit of the classic Swiffer. I find the point sensor to be more useful when it comes to long range weapons, and the Swiffer doesn't really fit that category. It can't take out foes from a long distance, and while knowing where opponents are is a good thing, most players can get the general idea of where someone is without the help of that. I also despise the ink armor. I don't really think it's that useful, and if you're good enough, I don't feel you even really need it. Number 8, Bamboozler 14 Mark III. I can imagine you're surprised by the fact that we're just getting to the Bamboozlers when there's only 8 chargers left, and honestly, I kind of am too. Like, come on, a weapon that can't even one-shot being multiple places above the longest range weapon in the game? Put that way, it's simply absurd, but the Bamboozler packs an unsuspecting punch. Its astounding charge speed means that it can both ink and kill quickly, surprising opponents. However, the reason the Mark III is behind the other Bamboozlers is because its sub-weapon, the Fizzy Bomb, takes a while to fully load up, which goes against the quick playstyle of the Bamboozler. Due to its weak firepower, its special, the Bubble Blower, doesn't really fit either, as once you get your bubbles out, they're hard to pop and enemies can easily shrink them before they can do damage. Number 7, Bamboozler 14 Mark I. Right in the middle of this list is the Bamboozler 14 Mark I. I'll admit, I unironically enjoyed this weapon quite a bit because the curling bombs allow very quick movements and you can cover decent amounts of turf with your main weapon, then proceed to spam the crap out of everyone with the tenon missiles. But I wouldn't consider it the best Bamboozler of the bunch, and overall this weapon isn't that strong, although it is much more fun to play than the Goo Tuber or E-Liter. Number 6, the Fresh Quiver. Alright, so here we have the most fresh Swiffer in the game, which I think can be used very effectively in the right hands. Its suction bombs are a good attack for its more offensive playstyle, and the inkjet can deliver some powerful blows to opponents. Much like the classic Swiffer, it's pretty balanced as well, but there's not much that makes it special, which is why I think this weapon is relatively mid-tier. Number 5. The Firefin Splat Charger and Firefin Splatter Scope. As we enter the top 5 weapons on this list, we have the Firefin Splat Charger. In most weapon classes, I feel like the vanilla weapon, or one of its variants, are the best simply because their stats are well rounded and there aren't any glaring weaknesses. However, the Firefin Splat Charger falls short for me there, because I don't feel like its sub and special benefited that much. Splash walls are fine, but for me they end up just inhibiting my vision, and they take up massive amounts of ink as well. I'm also not the biggest fan of suction bombs, as I've already explained, and in my experience when using the bomb rush, they end up just sticking to the same spot or close to it. Number 4. The new Swiffer. The new Swiffer is in my opinion just a way better version of the classic Swiffer. Why throw an echolocator at your enemy when you can throw an auto bomb, which not only tracks them but also blows up? Why get a lousy shield of armor around you when you can roll around in an exploding hamster ball? It's not enough to give it a higher spot on this list, but it's enough to make it pretty dang good. Number 3. The Bamboozler 14 Mark II. Getting the bronze trophy here is the Bamboozler 14 Mark II, as it's perfect for crippling and eliminating enemies. Commonly, a lack of aim prevents too much damage from being done by the rapid Bamboozler shots, but once a toxic mist is thrown and the enemy is drastically slowed down, you can fire away with aim hardly being a problem. I love the special on a weapon like this as well. Especially if used directly after a toxic mist is thrown, the onslaught of burst bombs is extremely hard to defend against. Unlike some other strategies, this can also work in practice as well as in theory, which grants it the number 3 spot on this list. Number 2. The Splat Charger and Splatter Scope. At number 2 on this list, we have the Vanilla Splat Charger. Overall, this weapon is quite powerful. You can use this weapon in pretty much any scenario, going from throwing a splat bomb at your feet and killing an approaching player, to firing your stingray to stop an enemy push on the tower. In my opinion, there are no real downsides to this weapon. Number 1. The Kensa Charger and Kensa Splatter Scope. And at number 1, the Kensa Charger. It was a very hard choice to decide which charger would claim the top spot, but I ended up going to the Kensa Charger. It retains all the good stats of the Vanilla Charger, while also being a bit more defensive and secure. The Sprinkler not only inks enemy turf in a way that's hard for the main weapon to, but it also quickly racks up special points that allow you to almost always have a baller at the ready. Used wisely, and even if enemies do manage to make it to your perch, you'll certainly have a hard time making it out alive. So with that, thank you all so much for watching. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed. I plan on producing more videos like this in the future, and if you haven't seen my previous ranking videos, please check those out as well. The playlist for that is on screen now. If your opinion is different than mine, feel free to let me know in the comments, and if you want to influence what other types of videos I make, you can join my Discord server which is in the description below. Have a wonderful rest of your day.